What's up guys, my name's Kevin. I just wanted to give you a quick video of what I was seeing with a crank no start issue on my 2004 C5 Corvette. Drove it fine, never had any issues with it, pulled it in the garage one day, car was nice and healthy, next day came out and it wouldn't start. Just cranked over constantly, cranked nice and healthy, but never would fire. Ended up doing a little bit of testing, discovered the car was not getting any fuel or spark. So one of the first things we tried is a new ignition switch. It's in here. There's a new one dangling, old one's here on the ground. Popped that one in, tried it, still didn't work. Ended up doing quite a bit more testing and some researching and discovered that one thing that oftentimes causes a crank no start issue is a bad crank sensor. So disconnected the passenger side header, removed the starter, accessed the sensor, and tested the wiring for it first. Discovered that there was wiring showing an open circuit, so it wasn't a short in the wire somewhere. I replaced a new sensor, put a new sensor in it, OEM, put it all back together. Still the same issue, unfortunately, crank no start. So then, this is where the reason I wanted to make this video is to explain this nice little test that can be done. Before doing any sort of tearing apart of the headers or trying to access that sensor, you can remove the front passenger wheel well to access the PCM here. Where did I put my flashlight? It's in my pocket. You can access the PCM down here. It's tucked away behind this panel, like 8 or 9 screws, removes it, pretty easy to get to. The connectors underneath are where you can do some back probing and testing. So if we go down under here, you'll see both connectors, C1 and C2. Currently, it's kind of hard to see. My voltmeter does not have alligator clips, so I've got it kind of rigged up with my jumper cables, but if you take a small needle, you can poke it through the harness. You have to pop these little blue connectors off. One you can see dangling sideways. They're kind of just shields over the wires, but if you pop those off, you can what's called back probe the PCM harnesses for a couple different pins. So the first one I checked was pin number 2 on the C1 connector, which is for battery positive to the crank sensor. So I back probed that, tested with my voltmeter, and I was showing, with key on, engine off, you should be showing battery voltage, but I was getting about 2.34 volts. Double checked the wiring and the crank sensor again. That's when I was seeing the wiring was still showing an open circuit, so there's no short anywhere with the sensor plugged in or unplugged. Good friend of mine, Rob, was actually helping me with some troubleshooting, and we discovered in the PCM both the cam and the crank sensor are on the same circuit within the PCM. So the battery positive for the cam sensor is pin number 39 on the C2 connector. So we back probed that one. This is what I'll show you right now. Let me go ahead and turn the key on. The car is gonna beep like crazy at me, so bear with me. It's gonna constantly beep every few seconds. But got my voltmeter battery positive hooked up to pin number 39 for the crank sensor battery positive. If I touch my negative lead to a good ground here, you'll see I'm only getting about just under 2.5-ish volts. Should be battery voltage with key on, engine off. So to access the cam sensor, you have to pull off the intake. It's located all the way back here. Don't mistake it for the map sensor, which is on the intake. To show you the test I did, let's go ahead and pop the plug off of the cam sensor. So with it unplugged, key on, engine off, we're still gonna do the same test. You can already see it's going through arcing through my hand as I find my decent ground. Wherever the hell it is, there it is. And you'll see I have just under battery voltage. Now, I've been doing this test a lot. My positive back probe is using a sewing needle through jumper cables. I'm not using the greatest ground, but we're seeing a significant gain in voltage here. To further test, I went ahead and bought a new OEM sensor. So go ahead and plug this bad boy in, if I can do this with one hand. There we go. Keep it up out of the way. Same test here. Back to ground. We're seeing voltage we should be seeing. To elaborate a little more, I did the same test on pin number 2 with key on, engine off. Whereas I was seeing that low 2.3 volts before, I was seeing the increased voltage again. I'm sure once I have the battery fully charged, which I've been doing a lot of testing back and forth with this poor battery is probably exhausted, but with full voltage, everything connected, I'm sure I'll be seeing closer to battery voltage to those 2 sensors. So, whole point of this video is if you're getting a crank no start issue before tearing everything apart to just replace the sensor, I'd highly recommend doing this test. It's very easy. I'll go ahead and pull my lead out to show you what I used. It's just a little sewing needle. Borrowed it from my lovely girlfriend. You can back probe it right through the harness, and then I just touched my positive lead right here to this open end, negative lead to the ground, and you can see what the voltage is. But yes, I would highly recommend doing this test. You can do it before tearing anything else apart. Check pins number 2 and pins number 39. That's the pin out for a 2000 and up PCM. I'm not sure on 97 through 99. You also check the pin outs for those, but check not only the crank battery positive, but the cam battery positive. If those are good, you can check the cam and crank grounds. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the pins, and also the 5-volt references, and make sure those are good before tearing anything apart. If one's not showing good, then you'll know which one to go after. If they're all showing good, then you might have another issue at hand. Anyway, hope this video helps somebody. Now I gotta put everything all back together. A whole lot in front of me. Intake, interior, etc., etc. We'll head her back up. Once we have everything done, engine should fire up. But yeah, hope this helps somebody down the road. Thanks, guys.